there are certain unspoken rules of success that I think are defined in our society, in our workplaces. And these unspoken rules are that you have to be mobile. If you're not traveling enough, then you're not ambitious enough. If you are not clocking more than 12 hours at work, then you're not really working hard. When I was made the CHRO for the first time in the organization, and as I spoke about how I used to, I would love to show my gray hair then, and I now color my hair because now I'm on the other side of the age and I would love to look younger. I was very determined that I want to do well and I don't want to be an unseen, invisible human being at work, because for me personally, unless I really create large impact for my organization or wherever I'm working, it is not really fun for me.
Welcome to the CoffeeQs Show, where we sit down with some of the brightest minds in leadership for candid conversations over coffee. From insights on steering organizations to personal stories that shape their journey, we bring you the human side of leadership. So grab your coffee, sit back, and join us for a fresh take on the leaders beyond the boardroom. In this episode of the CoffeeQs Show, we are joined by a leader who is redefining the future of work, Anjali Raghuvanshi, Chief People Officer and Senior Director of Business Innovation at Randstad India. Anjali is at the forefront of transforming talent strategies. But beyond the boardroom, who is the woman behind the vision? Today, we explore the lesser seen side of Anjali's journey, how her personal experiences, values, and even the influence of family have shaped the way she leads in the corporate world. We'll dive deep into the challenges that women face in leadership, the biases she wants to break, and the moments that have tested and strengthened her along the way. Get ready for insights, untold stories, and a rapid fire round that will bring out a whole new side of Anjali Raghuvanshi. This is the CoffeeQs Show, and I am your host, Ekta Capoor, co-founder Amazing Workplaces, an integrated HR platform for employer branding. And I'm here to uncover the human side of leadership, one conversation at a time. So welcome Anjali to the CoffeeQs Show. It's a pleasure to have you on the show today. Yeah.
Thank you, Ekta.
Thanks, Anjali. And with that, we hop on to our first question quickly. Okay. So Anjali, you spend your days, shaping careers, mentoring teams, and driving innovation. But before you ever led an organization, you were just a person shaped by your own experiences. So if I may ask you today, if you would like to thank one person in your family or a lesson that still carries you through your toughest days, who would it be and what did they teach you?
Thank you so much, Ekta. Happy to start with this question because it's like starting with gratitude, right? So I think one person, if I have to really thank in my life for really bringing me till here and even beyond, I think is my mother. And the reason being because as you all know, and as most of the women would recognize, that when we become new mothers, it's one of the things that's always niggling at the back of your mind is that should I go back to work or should I take a break and I sit back home and probably take care of my child and I'll see something later. I think it is my mother's great guidance and also her judgment at that time that made me think through what opportunities I'm letting go as a result of this, and how I can still balance it out as a woman between my career and home. So I have to thank her, and even till today she's my biggest support that I have, and she even today cheers for every win, small or big, that I have. And I think that's something I cherish, and I'm happy that I'm blessed with a mother who really helped me shape my career, though she herself is a woman who only did home care, and she's a homemaker today. So yes.
So great, to start with the gratitude, like you said. And it's good to know that you have somebody, in your life who has been your guiding force, yeah, who has been there to support you and cheer you. Thanks for sharing that with us. Now, Anjali, tell me one thing. From the outside, we all know that success looks like a series of well planned steps. If we see somebody who's successful, we feel, oh, they knew what was coming, and they knew how to be successful. But actually, the truth is that it's often built on invisible struggles. Yeah. So, can you take us back to a moment when you felt completely unseen or underestimated in your career? And how did you find your way through it?
Yeah. Thanks, Ekta. I think, yes, a beautiful question. I think, uh, again, I would go back to the example of starting as a returning mother, as we say today, or a new mother who came back to work. I think I feel personally, and I think those are the things that today, as leaders, we keep questioning in the system. There are certain unspoken rules of success that I think are defined in our society, in our workplaces. And these unspoken rules are that you have to be mobile. If you're not traveling enough, then you're not ambitious enough. If you are not clocking more than 12 hours at work, then you're not really working hard. I think these unspoken rules of success were even more ingrained before COVID, and at the time when I actually was a returning mother in 2010. I think that made my life coming back to work a little bit more difficult. You can imagine a woman who's leaving her baby. She has a lot of guilt in her head. She's already thinking that about the safety of her baby, how she can get back home early so that she is not kind of ending up not doing her job well. And at the same time, you want to keep your identity and your individuality as a person, because you want to do well in your life and career. So that tussle is already there in your mind. And then when you come to work, you're not given the opportunities that you're looking out for. You are being told that probably take something easy, take something which is not that much of high visibility, because that's all they expect you can do at that point in time. So I think the inability of individuals of not seeing the potential but looking at the limitations or the inability, and actually thinking that limitations and inability are somehow a prediction of my capability, is what made me unseen at that moment. And I felt that somebody should champion for me and say that yes, she can do much more than what you think she is capable of in your eyes. So I think, but at the same time, as we always say, right, every setback or every such moment in your life also gives you something that you probably wouldn't have, received if life was just hunky dory. So I think my ability to renew myself, my ways of thinking, my evolution as an individual actually started from there, because I was very determined that I want to do well, and I don't want to be an unseen, invisible human being at work. Because for me personally, unless I really create large impact for my organization or wherever I'm working, it's not really fun for me. So I think that also gave me that much needed push. But yes, it did happen to me at that point in time.
Uh, Great, Anjali. So, hearing about your story, and I would refer to, our warm up call also yesterday when you shared the same story with me, and today we are sharing it with our audience. It is a very important phase in a woman's life when it comes to a career, when she has become a mother and she has more than, herself and her, spouse to take care of, right? This is a very important phase. So, if I ask you, from your experience, is this something you would like to advise the women who are coming back to work in the same space, yeah, in the same phase of their life, is this something you would like to share with them?
Yes, absolutely. I think couple of things, of course. While I, in my example as I gave, I was more reflecting on the organizations and what they could do in terms of creating a little bit more sensitive workspace where you also understand what is going on in the psyche of the individual who's coming back to work and what they are dealing with. But I think as an individual, things that we can do, which we sometimes take it for granted, is when you come back to work, don't just give up. Don't just sometimes I see that we give up because we think this is how it's going to be, and we don't try to evolve ourselves as an individual, but rather be like, okay, the system didn't help, the support system wasn't working. So I think don't give up and keep evolving yourself. Look at what is it that you want from your career, from your life, and how is it that you can seek help from those who are around you to shape up for you, because that's what it is all about. At the end of the day, you have to go out and seek help, because no career that is built was built by just one individual, right? There are multiple people who play a big role in your life to kind of shape your career. So I think that's the advice I would like to give to everybody, that they must keep an eye out for.
Thanks, Anjali. Thanks for making that point here. Now, coming to our next question. So, Anjali, as a woman in leadership, you navigate a world that wasn't always built for you in mind. Yeah, we all know about gender disparity, and it's a global issue everywhere, right? So, have you ever had to make a decision where you felt that the weight of your gender, was more than the title that you had, and how did that moment shape you?
Yeah, Ekta, during our chat yesterday as well, we were just talking about it, that I feel the weight of it every day. And I guess every time I'm in the boardroom trying to push for something that I feel very passionate about. And also, any business decision or any decision with respect to people and culture that I make in my role today. So I think specifically just giving you a few examples so that it's also easy for people to understand the kind of conversations that goes on. I mean, we spoke about gender disparity, right? Gender equity. These are the challenges at times at workplaces we do face. And somehow, being the leader in people and culture, it is my responsibility that I do bring out these observations. But being a woman, it's always looked upon as, okay, she's a feminist. She's again here. Anjali is back with her ED&I agenda. So it is very difficult to kind of push forward from the image that they see of you as a woman, and that these are the topics that you will speak about as a feminist as well, and not really seeing the topic for what it is and what it can do to the organization. So once I challenged my leader, saying that, I mean, I know how you feel when I bring these topics, but if only you spoke about it, I wouldn't have to. And I think that's when they realized that, okay, if they collectively played their role in kind of bringing really the kind of equity we are building as an organization, I wouldn't have to push for these topics. So we are made to push because no one else is speaking. So I think that sort of made them think back. And then I also, as a leader, what I also do is that, how can I break this whole perception that I'm a woman? And so these are the topics I bring. So I always try to translate it for business, so that people understand it in their language, because business leaders understand only the language of business. And if you're going to speak a lot about your own functional jargons, they are not going to really appreciate what you're bringing to the table. So it's like cracking the code or the language that is well spoken in boardroom, which is the language of business. You learn to translate yourself into that, and you start really talking in that way, and that's when you get accepted and embraced. So it's a challenge, it's every day, and you have to keep working at it. It doesn't fade away. Just because you've cracked 2 board meetings doesn't mean the third one isn't going to be difficult, or suddenly all the perceptions will go out of the window. So it's a everyday work around these unconscious biases which most people carry. A simple example to give you is like when I even started my career, I used to work with a group of finance folks because we were in this team where a lot of analysis around numbers, etc., used to happen. Being the only girl in the team, I used to go with all my finance folks for smoking because there was the only way for me to really get to know what's going on in the team, what's upcoming, and what's the new buzz. Otherwise, I would be isolated completely. But just think about the amount of passive smoking I had to do for that, right? So there is always this challenge for a woman. If she smokes, she's somebody, people have perceptions they carry. If she doesn't smoke, then she's left out. So it is a difficult journey at the end of the day, but you have to also push forward and put your ground rules out there, that what's acceptable, what's not. And I learned that the hard way as I grew in my career, and I think that's what is important. So don't just give in because you are a woman. Put your ground rules out there, but at the same time make it clear that you are not going to be left out and isolated. And that's a journey.
I think the points that you have put in here, those are there's nothing alien about it. Yeah, even when we are sitting with friends and people who are in the corporate world, we do get to hear these kind of things. I think most women, all the women in the workforce kind of face this kind of an experience, especially when they are actually trying to climb the ladders of success, right?
Absolutely, I fully agree. And yes, I mean, this is one such example, but yeah, there are many there. You have to, for you to break the glass ceiling that we call in the corporate world, you have to really kind of, break a lot of myths, and you have to take the responsibility of breaking it because you are making it there where probably someone else has not. And somehow I've always had this situation where not many women are there at the top level. So it's not like you have a whole brigade which is going to champion for you. Sometimes you have to champion for yourself. But it's, again, I think it's also about a lot of clarity in your head at that moment to say that, okay, what is acceptable, not acceptable. I think that is very important for us as women, because that just not sets the ground rules for us, but for people who are going to come behind us. So if you're not setting it right, and if you're not setting a good example, people behind after you are going to suffer. So I think that is something all of us as women have to remember, because we are representing for a lot of people who are waiting to be in this position at some point in time, right? So be responsible, be clear, be matured, and be very clear in putting the rules out there, what's acceptable, not acceptable, right? So I think that's what has helped, and I think that's the lesson I would say that every woman who's aspiring to be there, and if you are the first one in your organization and in your boardroom, so it's important.
Definitely. Thanks, Anjali, for sharing your ideas on this question. Now, coming to another question, they say that leadership, it isn't just about knowing what to do. It's about unlearning things that we were once so sure of. So what's your belief or mindset that you had early in your career that you had to let go in order to truly lead the way you're doing today?
Absolutely. Thank you, Ekta. I think couple of myths, and I think we keep breaking a lot every now and then. But I think as I was beginning in my career, and as I was talking about one of the phases when I was rediscovering myself and also evolving as a person, there's a lot of myth that goes on in the organization as you're looking forward to grow, that we all need godfathers, we all need godmothers to sort of keep going ahead in our careers, because otherwise we are not going to be successful. I think that, and also that people grow up in career only because they are really sucking up to their bosses and they have to do this, otherwise you just cannot grow. And then of course the people who don't grow make fun of those individuals, saying, hey, he or she got there because of what. So I think those myths broke for me, because I realized that it's a lot about your own personal conviction of what you want to do with your life. I think the day I got the clarity that this is exactly how I wanted to grow in my life and career, I made a vow to myself that I'm always wanting to be an outperformer in the organization. I want to be in the list of people who have made a significant contribution to the growth of the organization. I think the day I was clear, because I knew that the growth of the organization is also linked to my personal growth. I will grow if the org grows. So I think that linkage got very clear for me. And since then, I have only kept that as my goalpost and have kept moving. And that's when I realized that you don't need anyone, because ultimately, at the end of the day, in the organization, those who are sitting above you are actually looking for that goal. They also want the organization to grow. Nobody in a corporate is coming here today to fail an organization and then get something out of it. So that linkage then helped me to realize that somehow everybody influences and becomes your sponsor in the system the moment your clarity exists for you. And since then, I haven't looked back. So I think for all those people who think they need a ladder, they need somebody to push them up, first of all, get that clarity. Why are you working there, and why are you here, and what is it that you are wanting to do in your life? If you're not clear, you're always going to be in that list of people who thinks or believes that nothing's happening in my life and I'm not going anywhere in this place. So I think that clarity helped a lot. And second thing that I learned in my stint with the organization is that we believe that only if you have gray hair can you lead other people, or that you cannot lead people who are older in age than you, because you think that age also equals to experience in life. I think that's something I learned as well. And when I ended up leading a team where people probably had more experience than me, right? So I think that was the other thing. I think it's less about that. As a leader, your role is to enable your team. Your role is to make your team realize its full potential. So I think that also helped me in really kind of realizing what is it that I'm here to do as a leader of a team or a leader of a unit or entity. So yeah, that's the second learning for me, or a myth that I broke.
And I'm sure there are other myths also, but we'll discuss that, when we meet in person. Now, coming to another question, Anjali, your work revolves around shaping careers, yeah. But careers are only a part of a person's identity. So, can you share a time when you had to make a decision that prioritized people over performance? One that wasn't actually necessary and the most easiest or most logical choice, but a right one.
Yeah. Thanks, Ekta. And I know we spoke, and I was of course, my life, if you see today, is I'm always juggling between people and performance, because as the leader in people and culture, you are the facilitator between the voice of the employee and the needs of the organization, which is profitability and growth. So I think one example that comes to my mind, and one such incident, little early on in my career, I was the HR business partner, and I was given a list of people who we had to exit from the organization because of course, profitability reasons. But it was not very clear in terms of what is their role in that entire circumstance. And I was also, from the previous experiences that I came from, I had really never done this. So I was feeling a guilt in doing this as an individual. And I called up my manager and I asked that, could you give me a rationale as to why these individuals are being asked to go? Because I am somewhere not being very convinced about it. Of course, the manager was in a hurry, and so was like, okay, no, you just have to go ahead and do that, and I have to finish it in the next 2 days. I was like, okay. Thereafter, I sat with the list for some time, and I was like, okay, what can I do? Because I'm not really that convinced, and this is the decision about people's career. So I decided to go straight to the CEO of the company and discuss with him in terms of why are we doing this. Of course, it was a big risk I was taking. This could always work against me as well, that I'm not aligned with my manager and that I'm not doing the right things. But I nevertheless took that risk and I went. I was very pleased that, of course, the CEO took the time to explain to me how it is impacting the overall profitability of the organization, explained to me about each of the unit and what was happening there. But as during the discussion, I actually said to him that while I understand the overall rationale of the organization, I do also feel that there are some individuals here who are really good and probably can be put into something else that they could do better. Which probably they are not contributing here, but they could contribute somewhere else. So I said, can I buy some time? Can you give me some time to really go back and see this and then come back? He was tight pressed for time, but he said, okay, because you are so passionately championing for people, I'll give you a week's time and you go back and do your homework and come back. So getting that freedom, I actually could save few jobs. Of course, I couldn't save everybody, but I could save few jobs. And that really made me feel good. And ultimately at the end of it, then I was like, okay, I did something for the good of the organization, but at the same time, I could save as many I could. So eventually, finally, for me, the risk that I took actually turned out to be a good thing, because then the CEO felt that, I really am a champion of people, and he went and spoke to my boss saying that she did a good job there, and we need more people who don't just do lip service, but speak their mind when they need to. So I think that was the end story. But yeah, I feel good about that. I could help people and not really, exit everybody out of that list.
Thanks for sharing that story. In fact, I remember yesterday because you told me that the kind of person that you are, for you, you want to balance, people as well as performance. Yeah. And that is something which holds very great importance in your life, in the role that you are playing in an organization. And therefore, I'm sure you had to really dig deep to get to that story. So, how old is this experience for you? Like,
this is almost, I think, I would say 7-8 years old, and also the fact that you rightly put. I mean, I hold high performance in high regard, right? So I set high standards for myself and for my team. So I expect the same from others. But then I also realize that sometimes there are circumstances, right? And you have to put yourself in the shoes of other people to kind of really see what would have gone or happened for them to be a certain way. So I think that's something you learn as a professional over a period of time, and we now call it empathy in our world. But being empathetic is important as well in HR professional's life, because without that, then you are not really fit for this role that we have here. So I think, but at the same time, as I was telling you, Ekta, that I always when I speak to my business folks or my team, I always start with the why, because when the why is clear, the how becomes clear, right? And the what and the how, everything just sort of falls in place. So when you do that, and when you are very transparent with people, you have very little room for pushback, because you are not hiding anything, right? So you're being authentic. So I think that helps a lot. So if you really are in an environment where you have to drive high performance, I think the first two things is be authentic, be transparent. People understand, people are no fools. They realize, and they also get your side of the story when things are not going great. So I believe in that. And yes, if after doing all of this, if there are room for us to be empathetic, why not? I mean, if there is an opportunity to help someone in life and in career, why not?
absolutely. I totally agree with you on that. Now, coming to our next question, Anjali. At Amazing Workplaces, we believe that true leadership isn't about power, it's about the silent impact that you leave behind, as a leader. So, can you recall a moment when your leadership unknowingly changed someone's life or career in a way that even surprised you?
Yeah, thanks, Ekta. In fact, yesterday I spoke and I told you that I have a lot of examples I can actually share over here. But unknowingly, if you were to ask, I think one, just God's grace, happened just today. So I have a team member, who, of course, moved out because had aspirations to move to another country, and he sent a thank you note to me, which was very heartwarming. And I actually did not realize that in the 6 years of relationship that we had at work, I really actually did that for him. So he thanked me for creating a very psychologically safe workplace, which helped him also at a point in time when he was going through a life-changing events, and he joined us for work. my support and my unknowing support, because I was just being myself, actually helped him so much in his life, where he came over many of his personal challenges, and today feels that he feels confident, he feels that he can do much more in his life. And that touched my heart, and it I read it and I was like, wow, I mean, if nothing can bring you more happiness than if somebody tells you that you played a significant role in their life, in their personal life, in changing the way they were to where they are today. So I think that I take a great immense pride in. Another one more on the professional and the career side is, I mean, I'm always a person who takes calculated risk on people, and I'm a big believer that I bank on the deeper qualities of people and deeper strength that they bring to the table than just the skill sets that they have. So I have one team member of mine, and I take pride in her career growth, because she was in a very different role as she was working with me, but she always shared her aspirations that I want to do something different, I want challenging assignments. And at the same time, I had somebody in compensation and reward who left, and I was in a lurch, I did not know what to do. And I sat and I was like thinking about her, and but then I knew that she had no experience in this space. But then I looked at it that, okay, she's great at number crunching, she has this great willingness to learn, so I think she can do it. And I took that risk, I sent her through a program, and then she came back and she did that job. And I'm so proud that today she's one of the most recognized reward persons in our organizations, and she's now in a global role, doing this role, which somewhere we felt that wasn't even her role at the beginning, or she did not know the concept. So I think these things that we do, and the way it shapes people's career, I think eventually I realized that your job as a leader is to really see that potential which sometimes even that person doesn't see, and then help them really realize it in their life. I think these things bring you pride that somehow other things, even any reward or recognition on any platform, cannot bring, because these then become your relationships and your connections for life, as well as seeing them do well in their life.
Very true. In fact, this reminds me of one of the questions that I'd asked one of our previous guests about how, somebody had impacted their life. And then they mentioned about a teacher, at a very early age when they were in 8th standard or something. And this teacher actually noticed a great quality, in this guest of ours. And she made him, sing on in the school in front of more than 7,000-8,000 students. And this particular incident actually left such a remarkable impact on this person's life that they said that I was not the same person again. Okay, so he was actually mentioning that the teacher, being the guru that she was playing her role so well that she was actually looking at students and trying to understand who has a quality that needs to come out, a skill or a talent that needs to come out. And that is how they were actually shaping that person's life. Now, as leaders today, in corporate world, this is the same. You are in the same role as maybe a teacher somewhere else, and you're actually trying to see what potential people have and trying to bring out that potential in them. Okay, so it just reminds me, and I connect there that yes, this lady you're talking about, she did not see herself in that comp and benefits role, but you saw that potential in her, whatever she did with numbers, and you could actually help her reach where she is. Obviously, the hard work was hers, but yes, you saw that potential and put her on the right track, right?
Yeah.
Great. I think that's really phenomenal. Now, coming to our next question, which is actually the last question of this show. Life has a way of surprising us, Anjali. Now, sometimes the moments that feel like dead ends are actually new beginnings in disguise. Now, looking back, was there ever an experience in your life that felt like a setback but turned out to be the biggest turning point of your career?
Yes, Ekta, of course, I think life is, if you see a successful person, then it is made of multiple setbacks in their life for sure. So I would say I still have to reach that space where I really think of myself as successful, but I definitely have faced setbacks in my life, and I would love to share one such over here. When I was made the CHRO for the first time in the organization, and as I spoke about how I used to, I would love to show my gray hair then, and I now color my hair because now I'm on the other side of the age, and I would love to look younger. But at that time, I probably looked pretty young, and everybody was like, okay, she a CHRO at the age of 35. What is she going to contribute, or what value is she going to bring to the organization? And I had a lot of naysayers at that time, and when this decision was made. And unfortunately for me, as soon as I was put into this role, the person who put me into this role left the organization. So a lot of people, as the rumor mills and the gossip mills run, a lot of people were like, okay, she's gonna leave because, of course, she was made the CHRO because so and so made her, and now what happens to her? And I was, of course, baffled by a lot of people subtly coming and checking with me. We heard about your resignation. Are you leaving? And that's how open few people were. And in fact, one I still remember. So there was one person in my team who came to me and was like, if you're leaving, let me know. I would like to put my name for this role. So till that extent. And then, so first I was taken aback, and then I was like, okay, what worse can happen out of this, right? At the max, I may not be the person who may end up doing this role, but let me give my might and best to this, despite a lot of people feeling that I'm too young, or I'm too new, or that I don't have anyone who will support me in this role over here. So I gave my best, and I really focused on the job. I was like, I'm not focusing on anything else or any gossips around, but the job at hand, and I did a pretty good job of it. So I'm very proud because and now I'm 3 CEOs down. I'm still the CHRO who's doing this role, and I've seen leaders change. And I have been able to build my great relationships and partnerships with each one of them. And I'm very proud of all the support, even what they have given me in this role, because they saw that I was here for the right reasons. They saw that I was here to do well for the organization and do the right things by the organization. So the naysayers became my sponsors. The naysayers also became people who went out and said, yes, she did it and she can do it. So I think it's less about eliminating, it's more about how you can convert some of your negative opinions that are floating around for you into positive, but it can only come from hard work. It doesn't come through other means or such. So I am happy that that setback or that challenge in my life turned out to be good, and I'm here, and I am proud of what I've done so far, and much more to do, right? So that's what I would have to say, Ekta.
Great, Anjali. And I think, you've actually proved yourself. And every time you refer to, the kind of work that you have been doing, it shows that this journey has been really, tough for you. But at the same time, you always took it as a challenge to reach where you are today. Yeah. And I believe, nothing comes easy in life. And that clarity of what we want is very, very important, right? So yeah, great hearing you out. Now we quickly jump to the rapid fire round. Okay, so our first question for the rapid fire round is your favorite book or movie.
Okay, I think I would go by my favorite book. I think it's a book by Daring Greatly, which I have read, and I think it was referred to me by my coach. And she was like, you read this because, many times in our career, we have this vulnerability moment, and we are afraid of showing our vulnerabilities out. So anybody who feels that, that they don't like to be vulnerable, and which is a big block to your growth, go for Daring Greatly. It's a great book to be read, and I love it.
Thanks for recommending that. So, a quote that you identify most with.
Control the controllables.
Okay. One leadership lesson that no business school teaches you.
That life is a roller coaster, and success doesn't come so easily. So you have to fight your battles.
A workplace bias that you believe should disappear forever.
All unconscious biases that are there today for everybody out there, not just men and women, but all genders and everyone.
Okay. One quality of women leaders that you think is a superpower.
Our intuition.
Okay. What's harder, letting go of control or trusting someone completely?
Letting go of control, I guess.
What's a risk you took that paid off in an unexpected way?
Yes, so I think the risk that I took was to fight, as I gave in the last example of staying and not fleeing. I think that's the risk I took and it paid off.
Okay. If life gave you a pause button, when would you press it and why?
No pause. I'm a flowing river. I don't like it.
Okay. A quality in men's leadership style that women leaders should adopt more often.
They overestimate themselves. Sometimes we need to also. We kind of underestimate ourselves a lot.
Good one. If you could instantly switch lives with a fictional character for a day, who would it be?
Agatha Christie. I would love to write her novels.
Great. If you had to give a TED talk on something totally unrelated to your career, what would it be? Maybe something personal? Yeah.
Personal, okay. I think unrelated to my career, it would be about writing a book.
Okay. Complete the sentence. My idea of a perfect day is.
Live in the present.
Describe Anjali in one word or phrase.
Amazing.
Oh, wow. So, amazing is my favorite word also, amazing workplaces. Yeah. So great. Thank you, Anjali. I think that was super, conversation. I really enjoyed this conversation, and thanks for being the warm person and very open and transparent person that you've been throughout the questions that I put across. It was lovely speaking to you. Yeah.
Same here, Ekta. And I think you came here to talk about a personal life. So I didn't want to be holding back, because when we hold back, then people don't learn, right? Nobody gets to know the real side of you. So I'm happy to do this conversation, and I would love to see how it comes out.